in the firmament of the deities, that over the millennia have inspired the actions of men, there is a star that shines brighter than the others. It is my star, or the star of Isis, the mother of the goddesses. In Egyptian mythology, I was considered the goddess of motherhood and fertility, and with my many talents, still today embody the strength of the woman who draws her power from love and suffering. I, Isis with winged arms, the first daughter of Nut, the sky that embraces all, and of the god of the earth Geb, was born in the swamps of the Nile, on the first day of one of the first years of creation. An anonymous poet of the 2nd century before Christ, dedicated to me this hymn, that was found in the papyrus of Osirrinco.
Goddess of the many faculties, honor of the female sex, amiable, who makes sweetness reign in assemblies, enemy of hatred. You reign in the sublime and in the infinite. You easily triumph over the despots with your loyal advice. You alone found your brother. You have well governed the boat, and you gave him a burial worthy of him. You want women to join men. You are the lady of the earth. You have made women's power equal to that of men.
I was married to my brother Osiris, and peacefully reigned with him on Egypt. My husband taught the Egyptian people the art of agriculture, while I taught them the art of weaving. Unfortunately, our brother Seth deeply hated Osiris, and for this reason he ordained a diabolical plan. He had a coffin made of the same measures as Osiris, and during a banquet, he invited him to lie down inside. Osiris accepted, and immediately his accomplices closed the coffin, and threw it into the river. I went in search of the sarcophagus, and finally I found it in Byblos, under an acacia. I succeeded in reviving Osiris, but Seth dismembered him and scattered his remains all around the world. But I did not lose heart and began my search again, and when I found each single piece, I reassembled the body of my husband. From our union was born Horus, called the hawk god. Osiris later left the earth to reign in the underworld, while from that moment, I became the goddess who assures life after death, and I affirmed myself in the East as the most powerful and popular deity with innumerable supernatural properties. In the Hellenistic world, I was known as Isis Pelagia, protector of sailors, and also the one who accompanied the souls of the dead to the hereafter. My cult began to spread in the Mediterranean, around the 2nd century BC, along the commercial routes coming from the east. In Italy, Pozzuoli and Pompeii were the first cities to welcome it, as the protectress of sea travel. In Rome, the Agia cult was officially recognized by the Emperor Caligula, who erected in my honor a magnificent temple, the Asio Campense, in 38 Annum Domini. With Vespasian, the cult of Asia assumed great importance, but it was his successor, Domitian, who considered himself incarnation of Horus, son of Isis, proclaiming himself emperor by divine right. It was thanks to Domitian that my cult reached as far as Benevento city, where the emperor built a temple that he honored by presenting himself as a pharaoh. Unfortunately, today the temple does not exist anymore, even if several finds are scattered in the historical center of the city. And it is a real shame, because it was the only temple in Europe in pharaonic style. In fact, Domitian wanted a place of worship that reminded, in its structure, of the temples of ancient Egypt, and, for this purpose, he brought the sculptors and most of the materials to Benevento from Egypt. The first hypotheses about the location of the temple were formulated by two scholars. The first historian who studied the presence of the cult of Isis in Benevento was Almerico Martini. According to his thesis, since Isis was the patron goddess of travelers, the temple must have been located near the Arch of Trajan, that is at the entrance of the city and not far from the place where most of the remains were found, many of which are exhibited in Argos Museum. On the contrary, the scholar Hans Wolfgang Müller, in 1969, believed it possible that in the Samnite city, 3 sanctuaries consecrated to the Aegea cult had been built, the largest and most majestic of which was erected by Domitian around the year 1988 Annum Domini. Near the current Archiepiscopal Palace, at the intersection of the Via Appia and the Via Latina. The 2 obelisks of Benevento, erected on the occasion of the inauguration of the Temple of Domitian, refer to me as the Lady of Benevento, to witness how, at that time, the Aegea cult was already present and well-rooted in city. I must admit that some aspects of my myth, due to the passage of time and my migration from Egypt to Asia and Europe, underwent profound transformations. I will speak only of my outer appearance, which underwent a radical change. In fact, my clothes became more and more similar to the style of Hellenistic tunics. The most characteristic element of these changes was the Tiat, or Isis knot, that for the Egyptians, during the New Kingdom, was a powerful Egyptian amulet which ensured protection in life and during the journey to the afterlife. In the Ptolemaic Roman period, the knot had the shape of the amulet but was made with the stoles. With them, using the upper corners, a loop was formed that had to be exactly between the breasts. However, of the Egyptian iconography I have preserved the sistrum, a musical instrument of my invention, which is shaped like a horseshoe and produces a jangling sound. The sistrum was used during the sacred ceremonies by my priests and priestesses. Apuleius, a Latin author who was very devoted to me, in his work The Metamorphoses, accurately describes the Aegeic initiation rite. The protagonist, Lucius, was grateful to me for bringing him back to human form, after he, because of his clumsy experiments in magic, had turned into a donkey. Now, I will leave you to Apuleius, who will recite the prayer dedicated to me.
You, indeed, holy and always ready to come to the aid of all men, always generous towards mortals. To the miserable misfortunes, you give the sweet love of the mother. Not even a day or a night, and even a single moment, however short it may be, it passes without your blessing. Without you protecting men on land and sea, and offering your right hand offering help. Remove the storms of existence, thanks to which also the inextricably tangled laces of every destiny dissolve. Calm the storms of fortune and arrest the cruel courses of the asters.